For the first time since the 1960s, the United States is witnessing a decline in its immigrant population, a shift that has sparked widespread debate and concern. This change comes amid significant policy adjustments implemented during both the Biden and Trump administrations, as highlighted by recent reports from the Pew Research Center. While this might seem like just another statistic, it's a trend with profound implications for America's workforce, economy, and cultural fabric. But here's where it gets controversial. What does this mean for the nation's future, and who benefits or loses from these changes? In January, the U.S. immigrant population reached an all-time high of 53.3 million people. However, within just 6 months, that number dropped sharply to approximately 51.9 million, a loss of over 1 million individuals. Jeffrey Passel, senior demographer at the Pew Research Center, described the data as indicative of a dramatic change. What makes this decline even more alarming is its ripple effect on the labor market. Since January alone, the U.S. workforce has seen a reduction of more than 750,000 workers, according to Pew's findings. Why does this matter so much? Because without new immigrants entering the country, the working-age population stagnates, making it harder for businesses to find employees and stifling economic growth. So, what caused this sudden downturn? Experts point to 2 key factors: immigration policies introduced under President Joe Biden in 2024 and subsequent measures enacted by former President Donald Trump upon his return to office earlier this year. These include stricter border controls, increased arrests and detentions of undocumented immigrants, heightened scrutiny for visa applicants, reduced refugee admissions, travel restrictions, and procedural hurdles for legal migration. The result is a chilling effect on both illegal and legal immigration streams. For instance, many immigrants now face greater barriers when applying for visas or seeking asylum, while others live in fear of deportation due to intensified enforcement efforts. Interestingly, early signs suggest that the decline isn't uniform across all categories of immigrants. Preliminary data indicates a slowdown in unauthorized immigration began in 2024, followed by a sharper drop in 2025. Unauthorized immigrants, those living in the U.S., without full documentation but often protected by programs such as Temporary Protected Status, TPS, or Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, DACA, accounted for much of the surge in recent years. In fact, their numbers soared to a record-breaking 14 million in 2023, largely driven by arrivals from countries beyond Mexico and Central America, including South American nations. Yet, this upward trajectory appears to have reversed recently, partly due to actions taken by the Biden administration late last year, specifically halting asylum applications and suspending humanitarian parole programs aimed at managing mass migrations contributed significantly to slowing unauthorized immigration rates. However, there's a catch. Some experts caution that the apparent decline may not tell the whole story. According to Passel, the Census Bureau surveys used to track immigration trends rely on self-reported responses, which can be unreliable if participation rates among immigrant communities fall. If fewer immigrants respond to these surveys out of fear or mistrust, the resulting data could paint an incomplete picture. Additionally, certain groups remain robust despite the overall dip. For example, naturalized citizens still make up nearly half, 46% of the total immigrant population, totaling around 23.8 million individuals. Meanwhile, lawful permanent residents, green card holders, account for 23%, or roughly 11.9 million people, and temporary lawful residents, such as international students or skilled workers, comprise about 4% of the group. Despite this recent contraction, the U.S. continues to host the largest immigrant population globally. Nevertheless, other nations surpass America in terms of proportionate representation. Take Canada, where immigrants constitute 22% of the population, or the United Arab Emirates, where they represent 3/4 of residents. Back home, immigrants made up 15.8% of the U.S. population in January, though this figure slipped slightly to 15.4% by June. And this is the part most people miss. Even as the total immigrant count shrinks, some subsets are growing faster than ever before. Consider the rise in unauthorized immigrants benefiting from partial deportation protections, such as TPS or DACA. Between 2021 and 2023, their ranks swelled dramatically, contributing to the peak unauthorized population of 14 million recorded in 2023. During those same years, unemployment hit historic lows, underscoring how immigration often complements rather than competes with native-born workers. But let's zoom in further. Where are today's unauthorized immigrants coming from? Unlike previous decades dominated by Mexican and Central American migrants, South Americans now form a growing share of newcomers. Geographically speaking, California remains the top destination for immigrants, boasting 2.3 million residents, closely followed by Texas with 2.1 million. Remarkably, the gap between these two states narrowed considerably over the past decade, shrinking from 1.2 million in 2007 to just 200,000 today. Moreover, Texas experienced faster growth in its unauthorized immigrant population compared to California between 2021 and 2023. As we unpack these developments, one question looms large. Are these policy shifts ultimately beneficial or detrimental to the U.S.? Do tighter restrictions enhance national security and job opportunities for citizens, or do they stifle innovation and cultural diversity? We'd love to hear your thoughts. Do you agree with these measures, or do you believe they go too far? Share your perspective in the comments below.